Hello again, I am Kayla Rice. Thank you for joining me for the final day of PC Pride's virtual candidate forum. Today we will have candidates for Person County Sheriff, including Republican Jason Skeet Wilburn and Democrat Keith Day. They will be interviewed by Person County residents Story Ann Niesingham and Dina Cunningham.
Hi, Skeet. I'm Story Ann Niesingham, and I'll be asking you questions today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah, so my name is Jason Wilburn, commonly known in the community as Skeet. That's my nickname. Born and raised right here in Person County. Been here, I'm 45 years old, and I've been doing law enforcement for right at 23 years.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thank y'all for having this.
Thank you, Jason.
You want to introduce yourself, Keith?
Yes, my name is Keith Day. I am 56 years old. I'm born and bred right here in Person County. I just recently retired from law enforcement of 30 years. I retired April the 1st from Vance County Sheriff's Office in the homicide division. And prior to that, I did 20 years here at the Roxboro Police Department. And also, I was a federal contractor working under Homeland Security.
All right.
We've got 4 questions for you and then kind of a free-for-all at the end.
Okay. Just to add a little bit about my background, I have worked in probably every area there is to work in law enforcement, which includes, as I said earlier, I was a patrol officer to start off with. I went to detectives with the Roxboro Police Department. After that, I went to Warren County Sheriff's Office. I was a reserve there and left there and went to the federal contract. From there, I ended up in Vance County, where I got a lot of experience in different areas of law enforcement, which included civil process, detention, drug enforcement, and of course, homicide is where I end up with. So there's a lot of experience that I bring back here to Person County. But go ahead with your questions, please.
Briefly describe 1 or 2 things that you would change about the way the Person County Sheriff's Department operates under the current sheriff and why you would make those changes.
Back when I was on the campaign trail back before the primary, that question was brought up a lot about the changes that I was going to initiate if I became sheriff. As most people know, I'm currently deputy at the sheriff's office, and I'm not looking to make any specific changes. I'm just looking to grow the agency, grow it, because there's something we can't stop is growth, and we can't stop change in the community. So all we can do is grow and continue to grow and add different avenues in the department. And one of the things that I'm looking at adding, and I'm actually had started in the process, is I'm building a search and recovery team for the citizens of Person County. And that search and recovery team is going to be a woodland search and recovery team and also a water rescue or water dive team for search and recovery. We currently don't have that, being that we have 2 recreational lakes in the county, Hyco Lake and Mayo Lake. We also have City Lake and Lake Roxboro that actually belongs to the city of Roxboro, but is located in Caswell County. Well, that's main bodies of water, not including all these rural farm ponds that we have in the county. But we typically have 1 to 2 drownings a year in these lakes. And we are the investigating agency on those incidents. And as it stands right now, we don't have anything to go out to the scene of the drowning or some type of accident was to happen on these lakes. And that's what I see a need in that. I'm building that. I've reached out to all the volunteer fire departments for assistance in the Person County Rescue Squad and putting a collaborative team together of officers, of deputies, and volunteer firemen to put a team together. We currently have what we call Project Lifesaver in place at the sheriff's office. And what that is, it's a wristband, kind of like this watch that I have on, but it has a frequency. And if we have a patient that has some type of cognitive impairment such as Alzheimer's, dementia or autism. It could be a kid or it could be an elderly patient. And if they qualify for this wristband, then we put them up, we sign them up with Project Lifesaver. Project Lifesaver, in case they wander off and go walking, it gives us, if we have a last known location, typically we can find that person within the first 15 minutes. Once we are deployed and successfully can find out which direction they went. Well, if we have a patient or somebody in the community who does not have this or not signed up to Project Lifesaver, then if they go walking or go wandering off and missing, we're behind the 8 ball again because we don't have a certified search and recovery team for woodland searches. So in the past, when we've had that type of incident, we are relying upon our outside agencies, such as Orange County. We've had agencies come in from Mecklenburg County, Virginia. We've had agencies come all the way from Wake County, Durham County to assist in whether it's a water rescue or a water dive, drowning victim, or someone that's missing. I am looking to build that team and it be funded through the sheriff's office, but it will be funded at no amount, no cost to our county taxpayers. That program will be funded by asset forfeiture funds that we have, that's funding that we get from the federal government from drug seizures and drug money seizures off drug dealers across the United States, because we currently participate in the DEA task force and we have an officer that's assigned to that task force. So we get money back from that agency. Money goes back to fund programs such as this or any type of equipment we need. So that's where I'm looking at funding this program. It's going to be a benefit for the citizens of the county. And it's something that I'm bringing to the sheriff's office. I'm adding to the sheriff's office that we currently don't have.
Well, one of the changes I wanted to implement was CALEA accreditation, which has so many advantages. It is the highest level of transparency that you can possibly get. And that's one of the things that I really thrive on is the treatment, fair treatment, equal treatment to the people of Person County. And also no bias policing. In my 30 years, I've seen a lot of things that I was not happy with. And that's one of the things that I wanted to change. And I would also like to implement more here in Person County. You know, so many incidents that we go to, you know, for example, domestic violence, you know, mental illness, human trafficking. We always want to put the Band-Aid effect on it. And I want to find the root causes of these problems and do referrals. And because we, as law enforcement officers, I've seen so many times over the years where we, you know, deal with the same people and the same problems that people have, and we can try to avoid that, you know, by taking care of it the first time, by doing referrals or whatever that person might need. And we have great local and state referrals that we can refer them to.
What will you do to address what will you do to address crimes against the environment, such as littering, illegal dumping, and illegal burning?
Well, you know, I thought about this over the course of a few months ago, and this is a pet peeve of mine, in which I will immediately implement a waste management officer, in which this officer duty during the day is to enforce and investigate littering, illegal dumping, illegal burning, all the above, and that's his solely job. I've seen that in the department that I work for, and it works very well, and get it under control, because, you know, riding around here in Person County, there's a lot of dumping spots, there's a lot of littering, and there is an answer for where we can control that by enforcement and investigations.
We will probably continue what we do now. If we have a problem with littering or illegal dumping, that's a reactive type call. It's already done happened. So somebody's going to call it into the sheriff's office or call it to central communications. We will address it. We dispatch to it. It's a call for service. We will start the investigation process on that if it's an illegal dumping. Whatever the investigation turns out, we will reach out to possible suspects and work the case that way. Illegal burning, something along those lines, we would actually look over and reach out to our fire departments or our forestry service, let them work that investigation on that because that is their discipline. And any type of investigational assistance we can assist them with on illegal burning. That's where we would focus our attention with them and go by their lead or go by their example and their expert knowledge on that and, file charges accordingly. But, I wouldn't put a whole lot of emphasis. I think I wouldn't prioritize, littering or illegal dumping as a problem here in Person County. So it would be like a call for service or a reaction type call.
Thank you. Question 3. What do you believe should be the role of SRO officers in schools?
Our roles, I believe a role as a school resource officer in the schools is exactly what the title says. They are a school resource officer. That means they are a resource for that school as a law enforcement officer, and they are therefore a resource for administrators in the school, for those school resource officers to be there for safety of those kids and staff. That is the biggest reason they're in the schools, is to provide safety for the students and the staff of those schools. Now, I know a lot of times they're not used in that capacity because, hopefully we never have to use them in that capacity as far as doing any type of law enforcement protection from an active shooter or some type of critical incident. So therefore, our school resource officers are certified and trained and what we consider would be great instructors, which I am a great instructor. And GREAT is just an acronym, GREAT, Gang Resistance Education and Training. All our school staff, school resource officers is certified to instruct that. And what they do in their I wouldn't say downtime, but this was pre-COVID. So now we're just starting to get back into the swing of things since COVID has been released and some of the restrictions have been released. So we target 4th grade and 6th grade. That's the curriculum on GREAT. So our school resource officers are in the schools. They touch them with 4th grade elementary students and 6th grade middle school students. Apart from that, when school is out and it's summertime, we host 4 camps every year that's put on by school resource officers, which is considered a GREAT camp. And that is something, this curriculum is nationwide. And that program itself, we've been doing, I think, for 12 years now. We've been running those camps. And those camps, we provide a week-long camp to rising 6th and rising 9th graders for 240 kids in this county. We do 60 kids per camp. We run 4 camps up to 240 kids. We do at troubled youth. That's been assigned by the court system in the juvenile court system. If they want to, I wouldn't say, I am not going to use the word sentencing, but they will recommend these kids at troubled youth to attend this GREAT camp, and successfully completion of that GREAT camp is part of their again, I don't want to say sentencing, but they're required to finish that completion of the GREAT camp. So, and then that GREAT camp, and that's put on by a school resource officer. So that's something that they do outside of providing safety and security in the school. Just a little side note on that GREAT program. When I attended the school to be certified in teaching GREAT, I was in a classroom with about 200 other law enforcement officers across the United States, from Lansing, Michigan to Syracuse, New York, to. So let's try that again about our school resource officers.
Yes.
In the GREAT program, I think where it left off, where it kicked me off, was I was discussing our GREAT camps, and when I attended the class to become GREAT certified to teach GREAT in the schools, I was in a classroom with about 200 to 300 other law enforcement officers across the United States, and they were all becoming GREAT certified to teach it as well. And we were discussing GREAT camps, and they said that their agency also attends, does the GREAT camps in their cities. And we're talking Lansing, Michigan, we're talking Syracuse, we're talking larger cities, population of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. But they offer one camp for about 50 kids. And that's it for the summer when school was out. So I raised my hand and stood up in class and I said, well, here in Person County, a population of just shy of 40,000, we do 4 camps with 60 kids in each camp for a total of 240 kids throughout the summer. at zero cost to the parents or to the child to attend the camp. And back then, the camps were funded by, we would reach out for grants with Person County United Way and juvenile justice. But now it's funded by the county. The county commissioners felt that it was a necessary camp and beneficial to what we were doing with the kids. So now the county actually put that in our budget. So that's funded by the county now. So.
Well, SRO officers' role in the school should be the security and the safety of students, faculty, and the facility. I don't believe in officers enforcing policies of the schools. And in the past, that has been done where it leads students to the pipeline of students, prison pipeline, in which we're trying to avoid. I think a lot of responsibilities goes on with the principals and assistant principals. And if they need law enforcement, then we'll call. And I've seen that work pretty well operating in that level.
How do you plan on building trust in law enforcement in portions of the community where that trust is lacking? And how will you identify areas of distrust?
Well, as a whole nation, our communities has suffered trust issues with law enforcement, and community engagement is one of the biggest ways that we can try to build that trust back. In my administration, I will have an open door for the community to voice their opinions. I'm gonna create new ways with residents about the threats and safety. Awareness is one of the biggest things that the public likes. For example, here in Person County, we're probably getting ready to get hit with a terrible drug epidemic with fentanyl. We've already seen some cases of it, but I come from a place where it is taken over, and there is hardly any awareness as to this particular drug. And that's just an example of different things that I want to be able to share with the people of Person County and make them aware of any, threats within their community, and different things like that. In one of my platforms, I have unity, transparency, and innovative law enforcement. That is my platform. And, over the years that I've, noticed Person County has divided, and I want to get that division moving in the right direction. So that's why I've created seven initiatives to take care of all these type problems. And no, we're not going to change. That's why I want to stay away from that word change. But I want to make a difference. And if I can get Person County moving forward in the right direction, I think my job is done. So that's one of my things I would like to do.
Just one question I probably don't understand exactly, and I understand the trust issue, but, I feel like trust is a two-way street. It's got to come from both directions. So you got to open up the lines of communication. I think the people that distrust law enforcement, we all need to sit at the table and discuss where is the distrust at. My agency will be transparent as much as we can and as legally as we can be. I know it's been about 8 years ago we implemented our body-worn camera program. We were probably one of the first agencies in the state to initiate body-worn cameras. Once we get a complaint or someone says that, an issue with law enforcement and they didn't like the incident or they have a complaint about it, let's say, well, let's sit down and let's review the body cam footage. And a lot of times that opens up the doors. So that shows our transparency with the complainant. They're allowed to sit down with us and watch the video. And, you know, we can resolve the issue there where we're sitting there talking. And that's the main key, is just sitting at the table. And as far as distrust in the community, just personally speaking on myself as a law enforcement officer, this community has, you know, stepped forward in support of law enforcement in more ways than I can possibly imagine. We get invited to community events. We get invited to church gatherings. People just honoring and acknowledging law enforcement and want to show their respect to law enforcement and honor law enforcement. I mean, it seems like every week we're invited somewhere. A lot of times, and the sheriff and myself was actually laughing and joking about it. Recently, I wouldn't say laughing and joking, but just, you know, a lot of times when we eat breakfast or eat lunch out in the public, and by the time we make it up to the register to pay for our meal, they tell us, hey, your meal's already been taken care of, somebody, and we don't know who. And we just, you know, if we knew, we'd like to say thank you, but, you know, we're not expecting anybody to do that. So it's been amazing over the past couple of years, the community that has reached out to me specifically or our agency out in public and says, hey, we support you 100%. We got you back. So I think we have a good working relationship with members in our community. I know I do. I know I get along with a lot of people, and I don't feel the distrust when I'm out in public and I'm engaging people, whether I'm working or whether I'm off, because everybody knows working law enforcement. So.
And I wanted to give you a little bit of time to maybe speak about the violence we've had of late.
You know, I don't want to talk about it a whole lot because I don't want to jeopardize any integrity of the case, of any cases that are currently pending. Cases are pending. But, you know, I think in society in general, I think you see a rise in crime, not just here, but everywhere. And a lot of agencies are short-staffed. A lot of people are not getting involved in law enforcement as a career. That's an issue every agency is facing at the moment. That's an issue that whoever the sheriff is going to be, is going to face going forward. It's just, you know, I want to put me personally as some of my qualifications, you know, some things that I've done in my career. You know, I'm a drill instructor for the state of North Carolina. I'm a firearms instructor for the state of North Carolina. I am privately an instructor for carrying concealed handguns. I am privately an active shooter response instructor on how to survive an active shooting. And so I stay busy pretty much doing presentations in churches, businesses, different civic groups throughout the county, and trying to just have people have self-awareness and what to do if any type of critical incident is happening in your presence, what you can do to help survive that incident. And so I think it's coming down to, you know, people want to say, you know, I don't believe guns are an issue. I'm pro Second Amendment. Again, I'm a firearms instructor. I think, you know, it's just, I think it's society in general. It's just, I don't know the answer to that as far as what's causing this rise in violence. But it's something that's being seen nationwide. And I think it's accountability. People need to be held accountable for the actions that they're doing. You know, and I think it falls back, you know, it's just, you know, if we keep slapping people on the wrist and slapping people on the wrist and slapping people on the wrist, you know, they're not getting the answer that they need or that society needs. I think we need, on certain things, I think we need harder punishments. But that's not my job. My job is just to enforce the laws. I don't create laws or make laws. My job is to enforce the laws that they put on the books. So, you know, I think that's accountability to the people that's committing crimes. And, you know, once we start seeing some accountability for those actions, then that's where, you know, working with the district attorney's office and having a close relationship with the district attorney's office and, you know, and letting them know what we got on the case, and they can let us know what else we may need, or, you know, if something else that we can do to better have a tighter knit case to put some of these violent offenders in prison and get them off the streets and society and making this community a safer place.
We added in a fifth one, which basically we just wanted to get your opinions on the recent violence that's happened in the community.
Well, it goes back to um, the root causes, in which I have designed a gun control program, in which I will share that on my website in the upcoming days. And that's, one thing that, I've given a lot of thought about in our little small county about the gun crimes. We want to stay away from the word gun violence. We want to focus more on gun crimes and who's committing these crimes, getting to the root of these problems before they actually happen. And these individuals and suspects, we might have could have rescued them at one point or another if we, made contact with them and found out the root of these problems here in Person County.
I always start out my presentations with a short video of Michael Jr. and it's called Michael Jr.'s Breakdown. I subscribe to his page on YouTube, and he's a motivational speaker, comedian, and he talks about knowing your what versus knowing your why. So your what versus your why. And I created a short commercial back during the primary, an ad, I guess you could say, of my what versus my why. And I like to close it out on that. I've been doing law enforcement for over 23 years. I come from a law enforcement family. My dad retired from the sheriff's office with a little over 20 years of service. My mom retired as assistant 911 director for Person County. My brother currently is a lieutenant at the Person County Sheriff's Office in the Narcotics Division. And I've been doing this for right at 23 years. So this is pretty much what I eat, breathe, and sleep my whole life, not just 23 years. A lot of people ask me, how long have you been in law enforcement? Well, on paper, 23 years. In reality, my whole life. I grew up in this. I mean, this is what I know and this is what I do. So this is what I am. I am a law enforcement officer. I've arrested drug dealers. I've arrested people that has committed rape, breaking and enterings, larcenies, murderers, you name it, domestic violence, abusers. I've arrested those people because that's what I do. I've put them in court. I've testified against them. I put them in prison for years, for months, days, if not lifetime, because that's what I am. I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm a deputy sheriff. But my why is, and I go back to December 22nd, 2011. I was a patrol sergeant answering a call on a house break-in 3 days, just 3 days before Christmas. And I entered this residence and I'm greeted by a mother and her son, who's approximately 11 to 12 years old, 10 to 12 years old. And the look on the young man's face, with me being present in my uniform, and his eyes was just lit up, and his house had just been broken into and some items had been stolen. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table doing a report and speaking with his mom. And the young man is at the other end of the table writing down, like he's like mimicking me. And he's got his little notepad out and he's writing, and I'm writing down my report. And I'm finishing up my investigation. I start to walk out, and the little boy walks up to me and just, taps me on the side of my gun belt and hands me this note. And when I open up the note, there's a picture, a stick figure drawing. Appears to be a cop or a deputy sheriff and a small kid, and the small kid is holding his hand. And that's when he tells me, he says, "Hey, this is me and this is you." And it's moments like that touch you in the heart, and you realize, hey, what you're doing is the right thing. And that's, why am I doing this? That's why. I'm giving that kid some hope. I want to feel like I'm giving him some hope that everything is going to be all right. And that's my why. That's why I'm running for sheriff of Person County, because I want to make a difference in this community. I want to give our younger generation something to look up to and to be proud of this community. So that's my why. Because once you know your why, you know why you're doing what you're doing, your what becomes so much more impactful, and you're able to put forth the best effort you can to do what's right for your hometown. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got to get to the root of these problems, whether it's these incidents are drug related, mental illness. We have to get to the root of these problems. and stop having the Band-Aid effect. You know, at the end of the day, and I'll close with this, at the end of the day, you know, the best reason for you to vote for me, you know, I want to give Person County back, the sheriff's office back to the people. You know, the sheriff office is for the people and by the people and for the people. And I want to give it back to them. I want to be everybody's sheriff, not just a certain group of people or a certain organization. I want to be a sheriff for each and every person here in Person County, especially our youth. I have a great youth program that I'm excited about, the UN 5.0, which you can see it on my website. We have published that, and I designed it, and I wanted to bring here to Person County.
Thank you so much for coming today. This was really informative. I really, yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you all. I look forward to working with you all. I think y'all doing a great job.
Thanks again for joining us for this week's local candidate forum. We hope this information has been beneficial for you and all voters. Don't forget, early voting begins Thursday, October 20th and ends Saturday, November 5th. And Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th.